What's up guys, I hope you're having an absolutely great day. My name is Legendary Luke, and today I'm going to be ranking the best Apex Legends player on each legend. The purpose of this video is mostly for fun. However, it definitely would help to check out the best player on your main after this video, so that way you can learn from them, see how they use their legend abilities, and just have fun watching the best. So just a few requirements before we start the video. These are the things I was looking for in order to make the list. Number 1 is that they have to be playing that legend right now. I'm not looking for someone that was really good on that particular legend, I'm looking for the best right now. Also, I was looking for the players that know and use the legend abilities to the best of their capacity and with the most creativity. I wasn't just basing it off of who has the most kills or anything like that. So I'm just gonna go by order of the character select screen and let's get right into it. So starting off with Bloodhound, and the best Bloodhound player is Marshy. I've known about Marshy for a while and he's been playing Bloodhound for as long as I can tell. I remember finding out about him when Sweat invited him to his channel because he was the #1 best Bloodhound with the most kills at that time. I'm not sure if he still holds the record for the most Bloodhound kills, but I still believe at this moment he still is the best Bloodhound player. Bloodhound is a fairly simple character to play, however Marshy plays Bloodhound to the best pretty much that Bloodhound can be. What impressed me the most is Marshy's use of Bloodhound's passive tracker ability. Marshy actually knows how to track people and decipher the clues that are given through the passive. He's a pretty cool player to watch, but next onto Gibraltar. Gibby is definitely one of the harder choices on this list because he's used so much in competitive, so that means a lot of pro players are maining him and using him. And since all the pros are on the relatively same level when it comes to using a legend's tactical and ultimate, the deciding factor came down to bubble fighting ability. And since Senlu is an amazing bubble fighter as well as Gibraltar player, I went with him for the best Gibraltar player. Lu's bubble fighting ability makes him one of the most aggressive players of all time, and he does it on Gibraltar. If you follow any competitive Apex, you know that Lu is always on the most aggressive team. He started out with Complexity, who had a push everyone, play edge, ultra aggressive mentality. He's now signed with Sentinels and they have a similar playstyle. Lu's use of his bubble and dome fighting really allow his team to just push everyone and play really aggressively. This kind of playstyle takes a very special kind of player to pull off in the competitive scene, and Lu has been doing it for years. If you're a Gibraltar main or you just want to learn how to get a lot better in bubble fighting, I would definitely recommend watching Lu. One of the tricks he fully utilizes when in bubble fights is the melee trick where you knock the other opponent out of the bubble so then you have full control and are the one with the cover. I want to give an honorable mention to the man Cfly24 because he pretty much invented that trick and also has a lot of other good Gibraltar tips and tricks, so check him out if you have time. The next legend up is Lifeline, and the best Lifeline player goes to Term K47. If you've played Apex Legends for a while, you might recognize that name. Term has had several records like most kills and most kills on a single legend. And I'm not sure if he has the most kills on a single character right now, but I know he has for a long time in the past, and of course on Lifeline. Lifeline is a pretty straightforward legend ability wise, so I mostly just gave it to Term because he's been maining Lifeline since day one, and he just knows the legend inside and out. Back when I played Lifeline, I learned the trick of not carrying medkits from Term because on Lifeline you have your drone and syringes, which is faster than just using a medkit anyways, and then also that just frees up another slot in your backpack. He definitely shows how to play Lifeline a little bit more aggressively while still supporting your teammates in the process. Playing a support legend like Lifeline can definitely be challenging because all of her abilities are team based, so there's no mobility or get out of jail free card, which makes it a little bit harder to play aggressive. With that being said, Term makes up for it through his god tier positioning. He's always in the right place at the right time, and he's always controlling the fight while also being close enough to support his teammates if they need the help. So the next legend on the list is Pathfinder, and there's a lot of super great Pathfinder players who are all really fun to watch, but I think the best Pathfinder player is Abralele. The biggest thing about Pathfinder is that he's a very high ceiling legend, so he has a lot of room for creativity and making outplays when you play him. which is something I think Mac just fully utilizes better than anyone else. The way he uses Pathfinder allows him to play completely differently than he would be able to on any other legend, which is pretty unique and something you don't see. Since Alb is a pro player and he does play competitively, he also branches out and plays other legends, not just Pathfinder, but I think he's definitely most well known for his Pathfinder days. Before he signed with Cloud9, which is where he is now, Mac was on TSM. And while he was with the TSM roster, he had one of the greatest legacies in esports. TSM was winning every major tournament at the highest level, and throughout all this time, Albraleli was playing Pathfinder, so he definitely has experience at the highest level. Now, the next legend is Wraith, and Wraith is definitely going to be a controversial one to choose from because she's so popular and she's been played by like almost every pro, as well as pretty much just everyone else that plays the game. To make it a little bit easier to decide between everyone, I first narrowed it down to 3 players: Fade, Imperial Hal, and Hardeki. Each one of these players is super good and plays Wraith in a unique, different way, but in the end I decided to go with Hardeki as being the best Wraith player. If you don't know Hardeki, he's an absolutely insane player, no matter what legend he's on. He's a fragger in IGL and he also used to play for Gambit. He's currently not signed, but I can bet he will be very soon. I mean, if you don't know Hardeki, you definitely are gonna have to check him out. He's probably the most clutch Apex Legends player of all time, and I believe he has the most competitive 1v3s on record. He's also probably the best at using Wraith's portal to kidnap. It is super fun to just watch Hardeki go and kidnap some of the top pros without them even having a chance to fight back. All in all, Hardeki uses Wraith to the best of her abilities, and he's just a crazy player in general, and that's why he's my pick for the best Wraith player, and arguably even overall the best Apex Legends player of all time. After Wraith comes Bangalore, and I don't think this should come as any surprise to anyone, but the best Bangalore player is Shiv FPS. Shiv has pretty much been making a brand and a name for himself around playing Bangalore, and he's grown to be one of the biggest Apex Legends streamers of all time. Shiv FPS has adopted his very own unique playstyle around Bangalore's kit, and it's kind of cool to see. He plays differently because of Bangalore's abilities. You'll see him running into the open more and challenging way more people because he knows he can use smoke and Bangalore's double time ability to get out of bad situations if he needs to. His smokes are also just super on point. If there's a team shooting at him from like 200 meters away, he knows how to perfectly bounce the smoke so that the team will have no more line of sight at all. Not to mention, he uses Bangalore in competitive. If you see a Bangalore already right away, you know that it's Shiv in the solo queue goats. As of now, he also has about 160,000 kills on Bangalore, so it's really no surprise that he is the #1 Bangalore player in the world. Next comes Caustic, and the best Caustic player is Natsuru Sama, who is a tie player for X10 Crit and has also played for Atheum GG in the past. This is the most cracked out Caustic player ever. Him and his team are consistently placing in the APAC region, which is where they compete in. And they are always running Caustic no matter the meta because he's a pretty exclusive Caustic main. So he's kind of like Shiv in the sense that he uses his main at the top level in competitive even when it's not the meta or the best legends to be playing at that moment. It shows true mastery when you're able to do that with a legend. Now, Caustic often is and has been meta in the past, but him and his team play around Caustic better than anyone else. They recognize Natsuru Sama's skill on Caustic and use him sort of as the point of the spear. He does more of the heavy lifting while his team is more of the support, which is interesting because he's on Caustic, which is a defensive legend. I would definitely recommend checking him out. He's a super good player and knows how to play Caustic really well. So for Mirage, I think the player is kind of a given, and that player is Abusing R2. Abusing has 223,000 Mirage kills, which is just by far the most out of anyone. Every once in a while you see some diehard Mirage mains, but no one like this guy. He doesn't play competitively, but that's okay because Mirage isn't a competitive legend. All I can say is that watching him is really fun, and some of the bamboozles he pulls off are absolutely insane. He gives some pretty good tips on Mirage too. The biggest bamboozle trick I learned from him is to use your ult in tactical behind cover or when your body is hidden. It makes it way harder for the enemies to identify which is the real Mirage and which are the holograms. I also learned that the dust particles around your feet will only come from the real Mirage, not the decoys. And that the real Mirage has weapons on his back while the fake ones don't. I would definitely recommend checking out Abusing R2 for some laid back gameplay and epic bamboozles. So after Mirage we have Octane. And the best Octane player is Stormin. Octane is a really interesting legend because he's used pretty heavily often in competitive. However, he's also seen as kind of a non-team player legend. The reason I went for Stormin and not someone that plays Octane a little bit more in competitive is simply because of Stormin's movements and playstyle. He has a really nice playstyle that pairs perfectly for Octane. I would describe it as smooth, but at the same time fast because it's Octane. As I mentioned before, Stormin doesn't really play competitive or in tournaments, but he does have some really good placements in Twitch rivals. I would describe him as a laid-back pub stomp player. The main way Stormin utilizes Octane's kit is through always stimming in fights, and to combo that and Octane's jump pad with his already insane movement. Some of the outplays and movement this guy pulls off are just crazy smooth. He has also mastered the art of tap strafing and pairs it nicely with the added boost of the Octane stim or just everyone's favorite tap strafe off of the Octane jump pad. The next legend to contrast with Octane is Wattson. I believe the best Wattson player to be Lamek999. Lamek was someone I knew was going to be in the video before I even did any research. That's not to say that there isn't other really good Wattson players, shout out Casellos and NorCal, it's just that Lamek is on a level of his own. You think Wattson is a defensive legend until you watch Lamek play. He uses Wattson's kit so aggressively like no one else can. I mean, this guy will start fencing the enemy player in a 1v1 while that player is staring at him gun drawn. His fences and knowledge of how to place them are so insanely speedy, which combos really well with his aggressive playstyle. To throw on top of that, he has great movement, which I think he's mainly developed as a result of playing a non-mobile legend. Even if you don't play Wattson, I would definitely check out Lamek999. He's truly entertaining to watch and shows what true legend mastery looks like. Next up, we have Crypto. And the best crypto player in the world is Cheeky Classic. My brother first showed me Cheeky back when he played crypto, and I instantly liked him and watched him even though I don't play crypto and don't plan to anytime in the future. However, Cheeky Classic definitely shows what crypto can do. His EMP allows him to 1v3 squads all the time and be much more of a threat than a solo should be. What's truly impressive about Cheeky though is how he incorporates the drone into his fights. Most of the time, crypto players either pull out their drone before the fighting starts or have to stop fighting to take out their drone. This is not the case with Cheeky. He uses the drone and continues fighting effortlessly. He'll take out his drone like even in the middle of a 1v1. He's mastered the timing and can do it just with a small slide or break in the action, which allows him to get an advantage in almost every fight by knowing where the enemy is. Another accolade to his name is that he consistently solo queues to at least masters or above with crypto. This is pretty impressive in general, but even more so because crypto is a team-based legend. He doesn't have any movement legend abilities or anything like that. He really relies on having a good team behind you, which we all know is a little bit unreliable when it comes to solo queuing. So that was it for part 1 of the best Apex Legends player on every legend. Comment down below if you agree or if there's anyone else you might add to the list. I'm also going to be making the part 2 soon, covering all of the legends that I didn't cover in this video. So if you want to see that, like this video, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss out. Thank you for watching.